Okay, it's 7:30. Welcome to the Village of Skokie Appearance Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. When you were told to come to our meeting, you were given instructions from our building department as what we're going to be reviewing. Tonight should be a short agenda. There's 2 signs on it. But before we get into that, I will see if anybody wants to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Somebody want to make a motion? Go ahead, Jay.
I'll make a motion for certificate of attendance for the last month meeting, July 20th, as presented.
Anybody second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passed. Okay. When I call a case, simply come up to the podium and we'll be reviewing the images up there and asking you questions. Also, the commissioner to my left, and I'll swear in, the commissioner to my left will be reading the comments we get from the village's community development department, and we take those comments into consideration when we're rendering our discussion and our opinion. So with that said, anybody who's going to testify tonight, the one person who's currently in our office, please rise and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. So I will call your case number 2023-026A at 4801 Gulf Road. Expedite
the deal.
Then it's misspelled here. Expedite the Deal LLC at 120 Old Orchard Road for a commercial sign.
BMO is proposing to occupy the vacant first floor of building. Staff has the following comments regarding the proposed signage. With regard to the ground signage, on page 9, the ground sign is located inside a sight distance triangle and exceeds the 30-inch maximum height. The sign must be removed. The new sign on the multi-tenant sign is permitted. Wall signs. On page 11, the BMO sign is not on the tenant space and is above the window, both violations of the ordinance. Staff recommends it be placed over the drive-through lanes as shown on page 25. The sign on page 12 is permitted. The sign on page 14 will need a variation as it is a second wall sign. Staff has no objections to this sign. The sign on the north elevation on page 25 is permitted. Staff does not support the west elevation sign on page 25. The sign should be located as shown on page 12.
So why don't we just take this on a page-by-page basis, Brian? Show us the page 9.
It's page 9, the ground sign
Yes.
that's in the sight distance triangle.
Correct. So,
Nothing we can do about
yeah,
that, right?
that's, you're gonna have to.
It would be
eliminate that.
permitted if it's 30 inches in height or lower, being that it's at the intersection of 2 rights-of-way. They're showing on the plan 5 feet.
So if they reduce the height of that sign to 30 inches, then it would be allowed?
Yeah, you have to get into the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. If they reduce that sign to 30 inches, then it would be allowed?
Correct.
Yes.
I think they'd be able to do that.
So that'll be one condition. Let's go to page 11.
So BMO's proposing to take over the first floor. This sign is on the wall of what's the second floor tenant, Pure Med Spa, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I reference on this page, we show it where it would be permitted.
Good?
Actually, the reason why they have proposed the sign at the higher elevation is because of the trees that are along that frontage. They believe that that drive-through canopy is going to be blocked when the trees are in full bloom. There is some images that I can show you of when Fifth Third occupied the property and the trees are in full bloom. That canopy is blocked. And then MB Financial also occupied the property, and they had the sign on the higher elevation as well. And so BMO has proposed to place the sign at the higher elevation because it's consistent with what the two previous banks that have occupied this property have had. And I can provide you with those images.
Well, I know, but this is a violation of the ordinance. It's not something
Right.
that's variable.
Is it, it's
So
not something that they could get a
no,
variance for?
That they would be able, that's a specific requirement,
page-
so they can propose to request relief because that's a specific code requirement. It's not a prohibited sign.
Oh, okay.
This, they would have to ask for relief and go to the zoning board of
Okay, so-
appeals.
so we have to
because
deci-
there's
we-
a regulation, they're just varying from
We
the
have to
regulation.
decide whether we're okay with that relocation. That's the page 11. Okay, so we'll table that for now.
I don't know if you pass this up to them.
So that's one we got to come back with. And go to page, go to page 14. 12 is
Yeah,
permitted.
right, got it, never mind.
Yeah, this one's permitted. That's two signs on
Right.
one wall.
So the justification for this is, in a multi-tenant building, each tenant would be allowed to have a sign on their street-facing frontage. This is a street-facing wall. But instead of the multi-tenancy being delineated, the multi-tenancy is stacked. And so that's how you end up with two signs on one wall, because you have a tenant above another tenant. But if those tenants were side by side, they would each be allowed to have a sign on that wall. But because they're stacked, the determination has been made that only one sign is allowed on that wall.
That's correct.
And they are seeking a variance for that sign
Okay.
as
Yeah,
well.
also, again, an item that they would be able to request a variance for.
And so that's the, all right, so let's go to page 25.
And this is where we just referenced that the BMO sign above the drive-through. I'm not sure why they showed a second west elevation here with the sign higher, because in the one elevation, they do show it in this location right here, which is permitted.
And that's where it will be.
Okay.
All right, so,
And this particular depiction is merely just for the blue banding. So the positions that they've placed the signs in on this depiction isn't really what the artist was talking about. For this, they were talking about that blue vinyl that's on the windows that you can see to the left and to the right in each photo.
okay. All right, so we have two issues to discuss. Page 11 and page 14, do we feel that we want to grant relief on those?
If there's precedent, I don't
Yeah,
have a
I have
problem
no issue.
with
Does
it.
anybody have any issue with this one? This
No.
is the page 11, correct?
Right.
Correct?
That's page 11, correct.
Okay, and then go to page 14. Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion to grant them relief for, as what is shown on their presentation for pages 11 and 14? Because those are the only things we need to grant relief for, correct, Brian?
Yeah, the other signs,
Are compliant.
yeah, are compliant, no items of relief requested, and
Oh.
the other one with the height and the side
Yeah,
triangle.
would be the 30-inch one in the site triangle. So there's
Correct.
3 conditions of this.
And Brian, is the square footage on that 30-inch height, the square footage that's currently shown, is that okay? Is there a square footage limitation?
I believe so. We checked this with one of our inspectors, I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion that a certificate of appropriateness be granted in case number 2023-026A at 4801 Gulf Road, provided the ground sign is no taller than 30 inches, and that the, on page 11, the BMO sign is granted relief for placement above the window And similar, and lastly, that the sign on page 14 be permitted and granted relief inasmuch as it is a second wall sign due to the fact that the tenants are stacked and not horizontal.
Anybody second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, no opposed, so approved. So just make sure you make those changes.
Thank you.
Great.
You have an opportunity to get creative on that one side. I have no problem with the second sign that faces west, but
Okay.
you could be creative and actually be more effective if you put the sign like in the window, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
closer to the intersection, because it will be blocked by the trees in that
Mhm.
location. So,
Yeah.
again, don't have a problem with it, because it's on a busy intersection, you need the signage,
Mhm.
but you have an opportunity to be creative.
Yeah, and I will encourage them to do so.
Okay.
Thank
Ca-
you.
Case number 2023-0258, 8440 Niles Center Road, applicant Syed Zaidi, a residential commercial facade. Are they here?
Yes.
Come up here so you can be sworn in.
You want me to do that?
Yeah.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Tom, you wanna read-
Comments from the staff are as follows. The applicant painted the south and east facades of the building prior to obtaining a certificate of appropriateness. Staff has no objections to the color scheme and has the following comments regarding the change. Section 82-11, point 2, prohibits signs directly painted on a building surface. All instances of the wash X will need to be removed. The applicant is allowed one wall sign facing south towards the street. Number 2, any use of images or characters that are copyrighted or trademarked are the responsibility of the applicant and not the Village of Skokie. The Village of Skokie in no way endorses the use of such imagery.
Okay, what do we got?
So when I acquired the car wash, it was completely brick. You know, the building was falling apart from the outside. You can see those images. And it didn't look like a car wash. Now, as a first-time business owner in Skokie, I've been coming to this car wash as a customer for the past 15, 18 years, you know. And I acquired it, and I wanted to just make it better. I wanted to make it appear friendly for the kids that come there, that want to take photos. And I wanted to give it a good experience, you know, for the customers as well as the people that visit Skokie. The yellow line passes right there. You know, it gives this appearance of Skokie that Skokie, you know, promotes art. There's creativity.
We got no problem with that. The problem is you can't put
Okay.
your sign on
Right.
the brick. So you're gonna have to paint it over and put up a sign. Not the imagery, just
The-
anything that says Wash X.
Both of them or just one?
All of it. I mean, they're not allowed to be painted. You're allowed, there's certain things you're allowed to do, just similar to what we had in the last case. We couldn't have, on the last case, we have BMO Harris just paint that stuff all over the.
Right.
It's bad precedent, and it's against the code.
And
So-
how long has the code been there?
Since the beginning of commercial,
That's been there a while since I've been here, I believe 20 years, if not
Okay.
longer. I don't know the whole history of that section
Okay.
of the types that are prohibited, but it's been there definitely a little while.
and from our perspective, first of all, it's illegal, so we can't grant you relief. Because if we do,
For what?
we can't grant you relief to leave your name of your company, the Wash X up
Yeah.
there. Because then somebody else is gonna bring that picture in and go, well, you let these guys put their sign on there. You got a pole sign on there, put your sign up, put your name and your business up in your pole sign.
They are allowed one wall sign facing
you can-
street
you can
two,
build a-
plus a
Right.
ground sign also.
Right.
That's, not sure the condition of what that's in now, but they are allowed to have a ground sign,
It looks
and
beat
they are
up.
allowed to have
yeah.
a,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I saved it. You know, if you think about it, and you know, I mean, how many of you guys on the appearance actually live in Skokie?
All of us.
All of us.
All of you guys
Yeah.
live in Skokie. Yeah. So, I mean, wouldn't you want, you know,
Sir,
things.
sir, come up with something, bring it back in and resubmit it, okay? Because
Well,
what you did ahead of time,
Yeah,
what you did on yourself without this.
yeah. And it was in good faith.
Wasn't, I know it was in good faith. Everybody who comes in here and does their work without a permit says it's in good faith. We get that, okay? But just, we're not gonna sit here and debate the merits of it.
Right.
It's not compliant. All the other stuff, the color blue, the cartoon characters or video game characters, all fine. Just figure out what you wanna do for your identity.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
I mean, if he just says he'll remove them, it can be approved with a condition tonight, with the condition to remove those which are in violation
Right.
of prohibited signs, and we're done, and we follow up with him. He's
That's
more than
fine if
welcome-
that's what you want to do. If you want to say, look, I'll get the Washack stuff painted over, and then I'll work with Brian on a future solution, that's fine. Or work with this village staff, I shouldn't
Right.
call out Brian's name, but.
In some of the solutions, if he could do a wall graphic that would depict.
A wall signs permitted,
cannot-
the
But a wall
ground signs
graph-
permitted.
Careful with the word graphic, right.
Yeah, a graphic depicting waves or whatever that would be, that doesn't have the.
Yeah, there's a certain
the
percentage
washouts.
of the sign that can be a graphic, not the business name. That
Right.
There's a lot, you're.
Yeah, like a mural.
Correct, well, but you can have the business name plus, something else to identify the business, that's a certain percent. that's
Here's the
permitted.
point, we're not going to get into these
Yeah,
specifics
okay.
and do the design, but if you just say, yeah, okay, I'll take care of that, I'll let you work with the staff on the solution,
okay, that's fine.
okay?
Yeah.
So then, there's really nothing to,
The only item would be approved with a condition that the wall signs that are prohibited, the name
Painted on wall
signs
sign.
that are painted on, the business name signs that are painted on, that violate the
Okay.
8211.
you get words for that?
Sure.
Okay, cool, make a motion.
Sure. I move that a certificate of appropriateness be granted, case number 2023-025A at 8440 Niles Center Road, with the provision that the existing painted-on wall signage at two locations be removed. Applicant agrees to work with the village to come up with an appropriate and compliant sign package going forward.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Anybody second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, so pass. All right, great, good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.
No other cases? Any old business?
I'd like to speak about old business. if
Any
that's possible.
old business or public comment?
Public comment.
Come on up here, I'll give you a minute. If this is this about 4600 Main?
I'll make it quick.
We're not gonna hear it.
Can I,
Can't, no. The applicant isn't here. I wouldn't let him come.
it's not even a question for the applicant, it's a question about procedure and us
Okay.
not
If it's a
having.
procedural question, that's fine. If you want to show a presentation, show us slides or any imagery, I'm going to say no.
Okay, I don't need I made
But you
one.
understand why I do that?
I do, yeah.
Because.
Precedent is
he
the
could-
thing,
well,
and
no,
he can't
no,
respond to anything I
no.
say.
He
Yeah.
could be in, they could be in here, and you wouldn't be in here, and I'm not going to listen to them.
Yep.
Right? So that's not, it's not fair either way.
So the crux of the concern is that when we were last here in February, you'd made the recommendation that the petitioner reach out to the community and
I
arrange a
watched
meeting.
the whole planning committee meeting. You understand?
Okay, great, then you've saved me 10 minutes.
I wouldn't have given you 10 minutes.
We have 95 people. The point that I wanted to raise is, it was unclear to me how the determination was made that they had satisfied the conditions you'd laid out. And
I watched the whole thing.
Okay, I hate to ask specifically, do you feel that the applicant had?
I'm not going to opine on that.
Okay,
My direction was that I wanted you two to work together, you two.
yep.
The
Sides, two
neighborhood,
sides.
the
Yep.
neighborhood and the developer to work together.
Yep.
Okay? I watched every minute of that meeting, and I understand they did have an open house. But
8 days before
they
plan
had an
commission.
open house, I understand that. They got to come back again. Again, this is now between, and and I think appropriately so, in the planning commission, okay? And then, once they figure it out, like what is allowed, I mean, you've made great progress.
Yeah, and very much thank you to all the
So,
members on the
right,
commission.
And again, it's government and it's baby steps and it takes several cycles, so,
Yep.
but I guess that's all I can tell you, is
Okay.
we can't hear or opine on anything until it comes to us as a case.
Okay.
Because it's not a case yet.
Right.
It is a pending case, but we've pushed it out.
Yep.
And the next case that comes in is gonna look completely different than what came in the first time.
All right.
So that's why I'm hesitant to give you any more latitude.
All right, understandable.
Okay.
I'm going to ask one more question,
Sure.
and then I'm going to hand you some pieces of paper. The question is, do you happen to know how and in what manner the petitioner was informed they were going to Plan Commission? 'Cause-
I don't,
Okay.
I don't.
And would you be able to put me in contact with someone who could answer
It
that?
would have to be somebody in the village.
It's someone in the planning division. You'd want to contact the planning department or planning division to see.
Is that just
who-
like planning at Skokie? Like, I don't,
Who's she talking to?
Either Paul or Johanna.
Okay, so
Okay.
Paul Luke is the planning chair?
No, Paul Reese.
Paul Reese, the
Yeah.
Okay.
planning supervisor.
I'm bothering him
Understood.
enough, believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, and the last thing I want to do is, this is very coincidental timing. This thing reared back up, not on our schedule, on their schedule. The Elm Terrace is having a block party. We'd like to invite, we'd like to invite you guys to come and take a look.
Yeah.
We don't know if anyone's been on site to visually assess, but
Yeah.
stack of invitations. Have some
Understood.
burgers, have some chicken.
I am busy Saturday, but go ahead and feel free to hand them out. Thank you for the invitation.
I've been bothering you enough too. You can come too.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.
All right, thank you. And I hope you understand why I
I
was
certainly
so
do. I
curt
certainly
and
do.
to the point. Okay.
And you understand, I just have to ask.
Hey, you're doing your job. You're
Thank you.
representing the neighborhood. I get it. Okay, I believe we are closed and the meeting is adjourned at 7:52 PM.